This is the View Program Pre-Calculus course, and we're doing topic 6, which is more unit circle stuff, specifically how to find angles when we're given the value of a trig function on the unit circle. So we're going to jump right into example 1. So at the top of this section, you'll notice that I gave you two things. I said recall what the given trig function represents on the unit circle, or how it's represented on the unit circle, and then look for the angles that meet that quality. So let's go ahead and jump right in with example 1. So in example 1, we're first, this notation, by the way, means from 0 to 2 pi inclusively, and it means you're only looking at radian measures. If I were asking you to do degrees, I would do 0 degrees to 360 degrees. The brackets mean include the two endpoints. If I put parentheses, it would mean do not include the endpoint. So, for instance, bracket with a 0 and then 2 pi with a parenthesis would mean include 0 but not 2 pi, which you'll sometimes see because 0 and 2 pi are essentially the same location on the unit circle, right? They're at the same spot. They're the positive x-axis. So anyway, let's walk through this. So as a reminder, on the unit circle, the sign is the y value of the point. So I always write that as y on the unit circle. So what we're really looking for is where is y you see negative root 2 over 2. So I'm going to think about the unit circle, and I'm going to realize that the root 2 over 2's happen at all the pi over 4's, and that because we want a negative y value, I must be looking at these two values right here, the pi over 4's that fall below the x-axis. Well, this is 5 pi over 4. Right? It's the point negative root 2 over 2, comma, negative root 2 over 2. And this is 7 pi over 4. It's the point regular root 2 over 2, comma, negative root 2 over 2. And so those are my 2 points that would meet this quality that have a y value of negative root 2 over 2. So my answer is theta is 5 pi over 4 and 7 pi over 4. And that's it. Right? So I had to relate how a sine is related to the unit circle. In this case, it's that sine is the y value in the unit circle. And then I defined the spots where that value happens on the unit circle. It's easier if you have a unit circle in front of you, certainly, right? Like you have one in your packet, you're welcome to use it. But again, as you get good at this, you're not going to need a unit circle. You're going to just do it from memory. So let's do 1b. 1b says the sine of theta is negative 1. So again, that's the y on the unit circle is a negative 1. Well, that only happens at one spot. It happens as low as the sine can get, which is right here at the point 0, comma, negative 1. And so the only answer is theta is 3 pi over 2, rather. Okay? When we get to 1c, we now have a cosine of theta equals negative 1 half. So cosine is the x on the unit circle. So I'm really looking for where the x unit circle, the x coordinate on the unit circle, is in negative 1 half. As a side note, the reason I like this x uc and y uc notation is because sometimes they're not going to call it cosine of theta. They're going to say cosine of x. And in that case, the x they're referring to is the angle, and the x on the unit circle is a different quantity. So to play it safe, it's nice to just call this the x on the unit circle. So I know a couple things. I know that the x's are 1/2 at the pi over 3, and I also know that if I want negative x values, I need the two pi over 3's that occur on this side. This is the point negative 1/2, comma, root 3 over 2. Excuse me. And this, it would seem I'm allergic to the point 4 pi over 3. So this is the point negative 1/2, comma, negative root 3 over 2. So the two answers are going to be here, which is 2 pi over 3, and here, which is 4 pi over 3. Because again, I'm looking for where the x coordinate is in negative 1/2. And the last one here, is that I'm looking for where cosine of theta is a root 3 over 2. Well, that's where the x on the unit circle is a root 3 over 2. Now, I know those happen at the pi over 6's because the pi over 6's are a root 3 over 2, comma, 1/2. And I know that if I want a positive x value, I have to be looking at the pi over 6's that are on this side. So this is the point root 3 over 2, comma, positive 1/2. And this is the point root 3 over 2, comma, negative 1/2. So my answer is going to be pi over 6 and 11 pi over 6. And those are my 2 points. Cool beans?